August is Women in Translation Month. A lot of indie publishers will put on a sale during the month of August on books that are written by a woman and translated from another language, or sometimes they'll also include books that were written by a man but translated by a woman. I didn't buy any of those, but sometimes they're included. But, anyways, I wanted to go through all of the books that I bought during the month of August. Um, Most of them as part of some of those sales, but some of them just I did buy full price. But books that I bought this month, which are written by a woman and translated from another language. And one of them I've actually already read. Um, but most of these I'm going to be reading over the next, I don't know, year or so, we'll say, in between other things. Um, so we have looks like three books from Open Letter, which is a publisher that's doing a sale for Women in Translation Month. Two books from Transit. Transit is also doing a sale for Women in Translation Month. And then I have this, which was not on sale. I came across it in a Barnes and Noble while I was looking for a book that I'm reading for a book club. I stumbled across this and it looked interesting. And I wasn't thinking about this when I bought it, but I'm including it in the video because it is by a woman author and it is translated from French. And then this I actually found in a used bookstore, and I think I only paid like $5 for it. Um, if you wanted to buy it right now online, it would cost more than that, but less than full price because this publisher, Seventh Story, is also doing a sale. Funny enough, I had seen their sale advertised on Instagram. Didn't end up buying anything from it, but then I came across this in a used bookstore. So that's my Women in Translation Month book haul. I'm gonna real quick go through each one, and kind of say why it looked interesting, why I bought it, um, and what I knew about it, if anything. Again, only one of these I've only read one of these, so this is the one that I've already read. I did make a review of it that is going to come out after I upload this video. So I'm not going to say too much about this one because I have that video. But this is The River by Laura Vinogradova, translated from the Latvian by Kaya Straumanis. Uh, I loved this book. I did make a review, so I'm not going to talk about it a lot here. The next one from Open Letter was Death in Spring by uh don't know how to say the author's first name, to be honest. Probably should have looked that up or thought about it before I started this video, but the author's name I'm going to say probably Mercè Rodoreda. This was translated from Catalan by Martha Tennant. Catalan, if you're not aware, is the language spoken in Catalonia, which is sort of the eastern coast of Spain. And Catalan, there's a whole debate out there probably about whether it's a language or whether it's a Spanish dialect. As someone with a background in linguistics, I'm just going to say the difference between a language and a dialect is more political than scientific. So I don't really care which one you classify it as, but this was not written in Spanish. It was written in Catalan, and that's what it's translated from. And this is a sort of I think the whole thing is supposed to be kind of an allegory for living under fascism. The author lived in Spain during the time of Francisco Franco, but it's a book about a young man kind of coming of age in his village and kind of coming to terms with a bunch of bizarre and kind of disturbing traditions in his village. And I've read that supposedly that's kind of an allegory for living under fascism. And this author is very well regarded. I hadn't heard of her before, but this is supposed to be very good. So I'm going to read this soon. And then the last one from Open Letter was Embroidery by Sigrun Pálsdóttir, translated from the Icelandic by Lytton Smith. And this one sounds really fun. It's about a woman who she lives with her father, who is like an archaeologist in Iceland. He collects artifacts relating to Icelandic history, but she feels kind of stifled by that environment, and she ends up running away to, I think, yes, New York. She actually steals something from her father's collection and then runs away to New York. So it sounded fun. We're gonna check this one out. The next publisher I bought from that was doing a sale for Women in Translation Month was Transit. So from Transit, I've got Journey to the Edge of Life by Tezer Özlü, translated from Turkish by Maureen Freely. This is about a woman going on a journey through Europe to the graves of all of her favorite authors. Um, so that's kind of a fun idea for a trip. Maybe I could do that someday, but first I'm going to read a book about somebody else doing it. And then also from Transit, I bought this, Swallowing Mercury by Violetta Gregg, translated from Polish by Eliza Marciniak or Marciniak. I don't know. I don't speak Polish. I think that's a Polish last name. I guess the translator wouldn't have to be Polish, but anyways, this sounded interesting. It's actually a memoir, I think. I think if I'm interpreting the description on the back correctly, I think this is a memoir, not fiction, about the author's experience growing up in a rural community in Poland in the 1980s. Um, so that's part of Polish history that I don't know a whole lot about. I guess really most of my knowledge of Polish history is restricted to the 17th century, so maybe we'll fill in some gaps on more recent Polish history with this. And then, so this, like I said, this publisher, Seventh Story, is also doing a sale for Women in Translation Month. I didn't end up buying anything from it, but I stumbled across this in a local used bookstore. So this is We Trade Our Night for Someone Else's Day by Ivana Bodrojic, translated from, let me make sure I say the right one because it's translated from, it's either Bosnian or Croatian, but I don't want to say the wrong one. Or maybe it's Serbian. Does it not say? Seriously? Okay, well, the book takes place in Croatia. Could be any one of those three languages, I guess. But yeah, it is a kind of a crime novel taking place in the years, I think, during and immediately following the conflicts and genocides that took place in the collapse of Yugoslavia. So that's kind of the backdrop, but the plot is like a crime novel. So sounded interesting. We're gonna check that out soon. Actually, I put a bookmark in this one already because I told myself I was gonna start it pretty soon, and I have such a vast collection of bookmarks that sometimes I'll just be like, this one's gonna go with this book. We'll put it in there, and I'll get to it within the next few weeks. So probably soon. And then last but not least, this one was not part of any sale, but it does fit the theme of the month. I was in a Barnes and Noble, which doesn't happen very often lately, but I was in a Barnes and Noble looking for that Barnes and Noble's last copy of a book that I'm reading for a book club right now. And I got that, but I also stumbled across this. The Future by Catherine Leroux, translated from the French by Susan Oriou. And this just sounds really interesting. It is a kind of dystopian post-apocalyptic novel, but in an alternate timeline where um, what is now Michigan remained part of the French colonies in North America rather than going to the British and then the Americans. Um, so it takes place in Michigan and it was on like the local books shelf in my Barnes and Noble. But it's written by a French Canadian author. Um, and it's kind of it's a Canadian novel, but it takes place in Michigan. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna check this out soon. So that is my book haul for Women in Translation Month. I've already read one of them. I think I can read at least one more before the month is over, but I'm gonna try to get to all of these within the next like year and a half. There's lots of other things I'm planning to read soon, but I'm very excited about all of these. So, yeah, Okay. Never mind. Thought my cat was going to jump up again. And yeah, that's it.